Welcome back. In this step, let's look at another important concept in Eclipse called views and perspectives. So if you look at my Eclipse right now, you'd see that it's arranged in a specific way. So each of these ones is called a view. So the package explorer is a view, type hierarchy is a view, and you can see that there's a task list here. This is a view. You can actually close these views and open up other views as you would want them. So the way you can open up a new view is window, show view, and you can choose which view you would want to open up. So views are nothing but the simple windows that you would see in here. Small windows that you would see here are called the views, and you can go to window and show view to look for a specific view. Package Explorer shows the entire structure of the project. So what are the class files which are present? If you had resource files, those would also be shown in here. So if you would want to actually navigate and understand the project, then you can probably use the Package Explorer view. Type hierarchy view would show the hierarchy of a specific class. Outline view would show the outline of the class. So it shows what are the important classes and methods which are present in there. So for example, I am opening up the hash map class. So you can see that the outline view now shows a lot more methods and lot more variables which are present in there. So if I want to get a quick look at a particular class, then this is the way you can do that. That's through the outline view. Spring Explorer is more used if you are using the Spring framework. The console view is where you would see the output of a program. If you had any compilation errors, then you would see them in the problems view. For example, if let's say I did something of this kind, now you'd see that there's an error. So it's saying hashma cannot be resolved to a type. So you can see all the errors in the problems view. These are some of the important views that we are making use of in here. Actually, there are a lot of other views which are present. As I said earlier, you can actually refer to them at window, and you can say show view and search for the specific view. For now, whatever you are seeing on the screen is good enough for you to get started. The other important concept is called perspective. Perspective is nothing but how you arrange these views. There are certain default perspectives which are offered in Java. The one which we are in right now is called the Java perspective. So since we are writing a Java program, we are in a Java perspective. In a Java perspective, you would have all these views in the way it is arranged right now. So for example, I'll say window perspective, and I'm saying reset perspective. So this would actually reset the Java perspective to the default. So yes, and you'd see that this is exactly how we have organized it. So this is by default how a Java perspective is. So let's say I don't want a task list. I can close this. And I don't want a Spring Explorer because it's not a Spring project. So let's say this is how I would want my thing to be. Let's say I don't want Java doc. I can close this. If I don't want declaration, I can close this. And now what I can do is I can save this as my own perspective. So I can say window perspective and say save perspective as in 28 minutes default. Now this is saved as a perspective. I can actually, this arrangement of views is now called a in 28 minutes perspective. So now I can choose actually open perspective, and if you go to other, you'd see that in 28 minutes default is one of the perspectives. So if I actually, let's say I go to a debug perspective. Debug perspective is typically used when I want to debug something. So let's now add a breakpoint in here. So the way I would add a breakpoint is double click. So if you double click, it would add a breakpoint. So what you can do in a debug mode is stop execution of this program, stop execution of the program here, and see what's happening behind the screen. So the way I can do that is by saying right click, debug as Java application. Now you would see that Eclipse is asking me to confirm a perspective switch. So it's saying, okay, you are in Java perspective right now, but I think debug perspective is a better perspective for debugging a program. Do you want to use it? I'm saying yes. You'd see that a debug perspective opens. You can see that all the views around this have changed. So you are now seeing a debug view, a servers view, a variables view, a breakpoint view. Outline view remains. So this is the same as it was in the Java perspective, but you'd see that all the other views have changed. And now I would be able to run through this program. I can actually continue executing this program by saying the resume, or I can do a step-by-step execution by using a step into or step over. Let's do a step over. So I'm using a step over here, and you can see now what are the values which are present in map in the variable. So there is nothing which is present in the map right now, so it does not have anything. Now I can do a step over, and you would see that now a map has one pair. It's a key value. This is how you can actually use debug perspective. So as you can see here, Java perspective is different from a debug perspective. Perspective is nothing but how your views are arranged. You can create your own perspectives. In this specific step, we look through a lot of things related to views and perspectives. So depending on the task you are doing, you can actually choose the specific perspective. If you want to quickly browse through all the perspectives which are present, you can go to perspective, open perspective, and say other, and browse through all of them which are present. The ones which I commonly use are Java and Java EE. When I'm trying to browse through something, you can use the Java browsing. So if I have a big project and I would want to browse through the whole thing, then I can use the Java browsing perspective. So those are the important ones I use other than the debug perspective. You can play around with perspectives and pick the favorite ones of yours.